This episode of Wookiees on X-Wing is brought to you in part by Metagames, Atlantic Canada's newest gaming and tournament center.
You can check it out at metagames.com. That's metagames with a Z.com.
Long live Metagames! Welcome back to Wookiees on X-Wing. I'm John.
And my name is Matt. And today we've got the third game. So this is round 2 of Fredericton Gamezilla Store Championships.
We have two returning players playing up against each other. We have Chris Gibson of the Vader and Mini Swarm fame. That is obviously Darth Vader with the X1 title, Advanced Targeting Computer, Engine Upgrade, and Veteran Instincts, as well as Howlrunner with Crackshot and 3 Black Squadron pilots, all with Crackshot as well. And what does Dave have?
Well, his opponent is running the same Vader, actually. This is the popular, selfish, I'm going to kill everything myself Vader. And then he's also got Soontir Fel with Push the Limit, Autothrusters, a stealth device, and a Royal Guard title to tie it all in. And he's also... and then he has an Omicron pilot with Palpatine.
So very classic Palp Aces list.
Yeah, it's Palpatine in his Pope Mobile and a couple of, well, compared to Palpatine, they are just bodyguards for him, which is a little strange to think. But
and just to let everybody know that this game was set at the Gamezilla 2016 Store Championships. Were in the early days of March, so this was before Wave 8. We still have some wonderful Wave 8 stuff coming your way. We had to take a bit of a break due to technical difficulties, but don't worry, we're back and better than ever.
Well, we hope so. All right, so we've got Palpatine setting up way down in the bottom corner there. Looks like he's going to try to use that lovely open lane to get around the very parabolic asteroid deployment.
Yeah, I think that was... I don't want to get bogged down by asteroids by either player. I think this is actually more in Chris Gibson's favor, due to the fact that, well, he has a block of TIE fighters. He doesn't have 2 TIE fighters running parallel. There's 4 of them. You don't want to really deal with clusters of asteroids when you're running a big cluster of ships like that. And of course, Palpatine, you don't like asteroids.
No, he kind of just likes to cruise around and do his passive thing and just say, hey, I modified these dice. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So we're very interested to see where Dave is going to counter deploy with his Vader and Soontir Fel. I believe he has initiative here, so he gets to put down both of his fighters before. Both of his fighters before Chris does.
It's should be interesting. Now, the nice thing is Dave already knows where Chris's big mass of fighters is.
Yeah.
So, as he's doing here, where he clumps up his aces, this can potentially force Chris to make the choice of, well, do I let Vader run interference and prevent my mini swarm from getting jumped? Or do I protect Vader for late game and just let the mini swarm take these aces on the chin?
Yeah, and that's a really difficult question. It's a question that you have to ask yourself depending on what squadron you're flying. There's no really right answer because it really comes down to what does your squadron specialize in. Mm-hmm. I think judging from Chris's deployment, he's going to go after Palpatine, deal with him once and for all, and make sure that he's not giving that nice synergistic bonus of being able to modify any dice that Dave rolls.
Yeah, and we've really... Once Palpatine started catching on, it just went like wildfire. Chris has seen Palpatine a lot. We all have it, so it's just, all right, I'm going to leave the aces alone for now. I can deal with them. I know how they play. I want to kill Palpatine. I want to get that dice modification out of the way.
Yeah.
If you get that out of the way, well, Soontir gets a heck of a lot easier to kill. And is a lot less accurate as well, and even Vader, he becomes a little easier to kill as well.
The trick here, though, is that these aces do and will benefit from Palpatine until Palpatine's dealt with, and if the heat has been taken away from these aces, Vader and Soontir Fel, then they can Palpatine can use his ability on a more defensive nature.
Yeah, and you can really just let those aces off the hook and just go nuts, do their thing.
Yeah.
It looks like this. Chris is just gunning hard forward. I'm gonna kill that shuttle. I want that thing dead. I want it out of the way.
Well, he has a plan, and he's going to stick with it. The fact that Dave has the initiative actually doesn't work to his favor when it comes to Vader on Vader action, and that's mostly due to the engine upgrade. It's nice to have initiative and get those shots off, but when you don't have initiative, even with Vader, you can see the battlefield and see where everything is going, and then respond accordingly. And the boost and barrel roll actions are phenomenally good when you are acting last.
They really are. You can dodge fire arcs a lot easier rather than trying to preempt where your opponent might go. And here he is. It looks so we've got the just phenomenal maneuverability of the interceptor. Soontir is getting himself maneuvered up. Now, so he boosted already. We'll see if he's going to barrel roll, and there it is. So just trying to get a little more distance, but also get some clearance between himself and the asteroids.
Yeah, the problem with going too far too quickly, as Dave has learned in previous games, at least I hope he's learned in previous games, that full-out aggression is not really good with aces all the time. You want to definitely think about your turn, next turn, the turn after that, where your fighter's going to go. It's something that I have learned the hard way as well with Soontir Fel. You definitely want to make those two green maneuvers, but you want to be able to clear them in a way that doesn't make it difficult in the future.
Well, that's the thing with the Imperial Aces is most of them are glass cannons. They hit really, really hard, but they can't take a hit. Whereas Rebels are quite the opposite in a lot of respects. As we've seen Poe and most of their high pilot skill, unique pilots, they're in pretty durable, pretty punchy ships.
Yeah, a lot of the Imperials definitely hide behind their defense roles, which, I mean, obviously that doesn't work for you, Matt, but it does work for some of us, me, and it will definitely work a lot easier when you have Palpatine ensuring that you get those evades. Yeah. So with the stealth device, you can reliably roll enough defense to hide behind even a 4 attack dice attack coming your way, but once you get, and this is why I think Chris is going after Palpatine, once Palpatine's out of the way, then you can't really rely on those defense dice to save you all the time.
Just that one unlucky turn. And it is, it's not too bad. Normally, it's not too bad an interceptor going with a stealth device just weathering a swarm of TIEs. That's not too bad. But whereas 4 of them have crack shot, that suddenly gets a little harder to deal with.
Yeah, that lucky defense roll becomes it's not good enough.
No, this is not as consistent, anywhere near as consistent as I want it to be.
And then on top of that, with Howlrunner, and this is the big thing with Chris's squadron here, Howlrunner gives those TIE fighters rerolls. Doesn't give Vader rerolls, but doesn't need to.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Howlrunner's position. She's on the exposed side of the mini swarm here. Kind of, hindsight 2020 of seeing the deployment, would have rathered her be closer towards our board edge. Just given, knowing where Palpatine was, if you place her more to the area with less exposed space, you won't have her getting flanked. Yeah. Which, what it looks like is going to happen here. Yeah. And Dave he's not a new player. He knows, if I have a chance to kill Howlrunner, I'm going to kill Howlrunner.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we saw in previous videos is that some of the other players, they split their fire. They, would fire against a Black Squadron pilot, or they might fire against Howlrunner. Dave's learned those lessons. If he can focus fire, he'll focus fire. If he can kill Howlrunner, he's going to kill Howlrunner.
Yeah, and she's a little out in the wind right now, a little worrisome. But I mean, maybe all she needs is just to stay alive long enough for the shuttle to die. It's kind of callous to say, but that may be all that Chris wants or needs of her right now.
Well, when you're looking at Howlrunner in comparison to just a Black Squadron pilot, you're only looking at, I think, a 3 or 4 point difference because Howlrunner, I believe, is 18 points base.
Yeah.
Black Squadron pilot is 14 points, so that's 4-point difference. I can do math. Here for first. So if you have 2 or 3 turns of that reroll, then Howlrunner's already paid for herself.
Yeah.
The turns where Howlrunner seems like a waste can be if she just gets punked, and her getting punked had no strategic benefit. You didn't pull your opponent out of position. You didn't cause them to break formation, anything like that.
Which, in this case, Howlrunner is exactly where Dave wants her to be. She's exposed. She's close to his aces.
Yeah.
And that was some very, very close flying to that asteroid.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, as we know, Soontir does not like interfacing directly with asteroids.
No, or enemy fighters, and Dave is going to have to be a little bit careful here with how Chris has deployed, or not deployed, I should say, has moved his squadron. Yes, you have the Blacks and Howlrunner going up against the shuttle. That's pretty much telegraphed at this point. But Vader, Chris's Vader, he can go anywhere. Does he want to go and help deal with the shuttle? Or does he want to break off and deal with these aces by himself? Not sure. By Dave having to split his 2 fighters between that asteroid, it might make that choice easier next turn. We have to wait and see.
Yeah, and where that fighter wing is right now, that doesn't leave Chris's Vader a whole lot of area to turn. So it's, and just knowing Chris, it seems likely he's just going in for the kill. He wants to kill Palpatine. But he definitely could use Vader to toe-to-toe with Soontir. And he is one of the few fighters that could actually come away from that and win that fight.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. Looks like he's going to be using Vader to burn that shuttle down.
Well, you might as well. Just try to get as many points of damage through as you can.
Well, the mini swarm with Vader definitely benefits from focus firing.
Oh, for sure.
The less turns you have to, split your forces, break off, that kind of thing, and you can just move as a cohesive unit, focus firing, assisting each of the fighters. These are turns that are not wasted.
Yep, and so we've got... Well, there's the target lock for the advanced targeting computer. And looks like... And just a barrel roll to get into a lot nicer lane for the next few turns.
Yeah, you don't want to have to do two sharp maneuvers. And when I say too sharp, I don't mean 2 as in number 2. I mean 2 as in TOO.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, he doesn't want to get in the way of his own fighters.
No. And there's Howlrunner. So this is going in from Vader, and she takes a minor hull breach.
So that's pretty brutal.
Not bad. No, but it's from, 3 potential hits to take 1 crit. All right, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And here we go. So this is now Chris's Vader shooting. Not quite in range 1. And this is not what Palpatine wants to see. So it looks like there's a focus spent, 2 points of damage taken. Not bad. Not bad so far. Now we've got Soontir. So can Howlrunner survive this? If she does, Chris's fighters are going to have a very nice benefit this turn.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those rerolls are going to be incredibly powerful when dealing with a shuttle that only has 1 defense dice.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 2 defense dice at range 3, depending on where those fighters are. But so we have a stun pilot, crit, but it looks like Howlrunner's still alive.
She's good. She's
really beaten up.
Very. That's 2 crits. So that's not bad though. It looks like she was in range 2 there. So take a shot and potentially get a hit. Now the one downside of Howlrunner is she does not benefit from her own pilot ability.
So we made a mistake. That was actually range 3.
That was very close.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, if she could benefit from her own pilot ability, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, just everything around.
And it looked like he didn't spend that focus earlier. He actually used Palpatine defensively, maybe?
Oh, that's possible.
I think he wants to save those focus for the 2 defense dice he's getting from the TIE fighters, if he can. It's a bit greedy, but you never know. It could work for you. Fortune does favor the bold.
Yeah, and it looks but Chris did get that 1 point through from Howlrunner using crack shot, and it looks like he spends a crack shot from a black squadron to get another through. And here's a focus into 2, and that does go both directly through. So he's only spent 2 of his crack shots so far, and it looks like the final black squadron was out of range, so no third fighter shot there.
So a very nice example, once again, of what crack shot can do for you. It might not seem like a lot, but it's only 1 point, 4 points in this case for 4 different crack shots. But that's basically 4 hits that you're guaranteeing.
That's 4 ignored defense rolls, exactly. It's very useful.
So it looks like that shuttle is just trying to get out of dodge.
He can't outrun TIE fighters.
No. He can outslow them, but I think that's a little bit too little too late at this point.
Yeah. Now Chris does need to be careful here. His fighter wing is fairly compact. Now compact fighter wings, they don't have a problem going forward, but as soon as you start banking or turning them, they end up in some very weird places.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice in order to fly this properly, and knowing exactly how spaced out you want to be with your fighters. And it also gets into the tricky space of barrel rolling. So Chris is going to bump with at least one of these fighters, it looks like. Yeah, we're going to see for sure which fighters bumped and which ones he didn't when he starts handing out actions.
Yeah, so he accepts the bump here. Now, what he could have done, could barrel roll one of the fighters, the fighter that ended up blocking his own.
Yeah.
Just if you're to do absolute order, unless he ended up bumping as well, but I don't believe he did. Just to do absolute order of operations.
Yeah.
And then you would end up with all of your fighters being able to action. But that, one would end up out of position, so in the grand scheme of things, it's probably not that big a deal.
Yeah, and for the most part, when it comes to flying squadrons of TIEs, it's one of those interesting things where, yeah, you fly them all clustered, it looks cool on the board, but as I've played many games with TIEs, having them paired together and having them in close formation actually has in-game benefits that might not seem tangible.
Mm-hmm. And so the one fighter he did have to be careful about, though, is Howlrunner.
Yeah.
It would be kind of embarrassing to fly Howlrunner into the back of your own ship and have her blow up because of her stunt pilot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it looks like Howlrunner is fine at the moment.
Yeah, she was all right. She has, in fact, evaded.
So she had the chance of blowing up, but...
Hoping against hope that she doesn't die this turn. She probably will. She only has 1 health and is facing both of these aces.
Yeah.
I think the best case scenario for Chris right now would literally be for it to take both of those aces to kill her.
Yes.
That would be very annoying.
Well, not only that, but it forces the turn of operations on how Dave can deal with his squadrons. Mm-hmm. He's really coming in hard here. So if he has to spend more effort to kill one fighter, that means taking obviously more pressure off of other fighters later on down the road, but it's going to cause Dave to break formation and give up his advantage that he already has, especially once the shuttle's gone.
And Soontir's in a very nice position here. Ideally, Dave's Vader kills Howlrunner, and it looks like that would leave Soontir possibly in range 1 of a black squadron.
Yes.
And that is one of the black squadrons that has not burned his crack shot yet. So if Dave could clear out an unused crack shot, that would be, a double win. But yeah, all things considered, Howlrunner's probably going to die, and Palpatine is very likely to die this turn.
Yeah.
But it's Chris's Vader, actually, if he goes quite fast, he's going to end up in a very interesting position of being able to potentially turn into that asteroid cluster and end up behind Dave's aces.
Yeah.
So we'll see where he ends up. Little bit risky going going fast, but Chris really wants to get Vader up there, clear as much room as possible.
Oh yeah, that is definitely skirting the
A
board.
very close boost.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that a boost wouldn't have killed Vader if he couldn't have.
You can't.
You
If
can't
you
do
can't
it.
complete it, you can't back off.
But the thing is that it puts you in a really bad position next turn if you couldn't have performed that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I know I'm flying off.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Vader does have a barrel roll. He can get himself out, but it still leaves him in a rather unenviable position.
Well, he could do stuff like hard turns too, but again, that puts him in a really bad spot.
Mm-hmm. And he's in a nice position here. He's right on the 6 of that shuttle, and he has quite a nice area to turn into to put himself either head on into Soontir or wing himself through the 2 farthest asteroids to get behind the Aces.
I think for the most part, Chris is going to be looking at the end game. Once the shuttle has been killed, these fighters are going to be able to deal with one of these other Aces, and he's going to have to put all of his pressure on one of these fighters, and it's going to be very difficult because he has to get himself turned around.
Yeah.
But he's going to have some help with that due to the asteroid and due to just how close the Aces have approached. Now, Chris's Vader is a bit of the wild card here. How he wants to go about it is up to him, but I think that basically keeping him in reserve still is going to play a lot more to his benefit, especially with the advanced targeting computer. Getting that put onto one of the fighters that he wants to deal with eventually, and taking a turn or two to reorganize himself so that Dave is forced to either deal with his TIE fighters or deal with the enemy Vader.
Yeah, and here we go. So that was Dave's Vader shooting into Howlrunner, and Chris had to spend his evade token, but Howlrunner survived. So it is going to take Soontir to try to go after her.
And that is a real sucker punch for Dave.
And so this is a minor explosion. Now, the eagle-eyed of you will notice that's a last edition damage deck. Yeah, so it's not quite as scary as the Force Awakens damage deck, where it can chain off into another crit.
Oh yeah, I that cascading crit is the scariest thing ever, especially on your big ships.
And we've talked about this before. We've noticed the choice of damage deck really depends on what kind of fleet you're running. If you're playing a big ship and you don't use secondary weapon systems, you're probably going to use the older damage deck because it's a little more forgiving in that respect.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have ordnance, you're going to use the new one because you can't lose your ordnance.
Yeah, ships like Dash Rendar that has the cannons, secondary weapons like that, that if you lose your secondary weapon system, you have completely crippled that ship. You don't need to worry about that so much.
Yeah. And there's Soontir, gets Howlrunner. And inevitably, yes, but it took 2 Aces to kill her.
Yeah. And that is a big deal when you're dealing with Aces. You only have... It's a death by 1,000 paper cuts, not as much as TIE fighters, but you only have 2 ships to deal the weight of a squadron.
Yeah. And here's the rest of his TIE swarm. And again, he still has 2 crack shots up his sleeve if he needs them. Ideally, saves them for the Aces, but if he has to kill him, he has to kill him. And this is one of his one fighter that actually got into range 2. So that was a nice little bonus. And he got both his attacks through.
Yeah. So that shuttle is looking dead. I was gonna say bad, but dead will suffice.
Looking pretty bad. Hidden damage cards, but yeah, it's that's gone. So now I'm really interested to see what goes on. I'm intrigued what Chris does with his fighters, and okay. So he really could have gone one of 2 ways here. Could have K-turned and just completely reoriented himself.
Yeah.
It looks like he really wants to keep his action ability, and just keep his fighters alive. Just take the extra time to get them turned around and re-engage.
Yeah, it's dangerous K-turning with TIE fighters because it's basically the same as bumping for all intents and purposes. If you lose an action with a TIE fighter, it's almost as good as dead. He doesn't...
Depending what shooting at it, for sure, yeah.
Exactly. Now, Chris has just gotten the upper hand here. He's peace traded Howlrunner for Palpatine.
Mm-hmm. That's a nice trade.
I think that's worth it because of how... Yeah, they're both synergy pieces, but just how synergistic Palpatine is for the Aces means that Soontir is much easier to deal with, and even Vader is much easier to deal with.
And so the beautiful one hard turn of the TIE Fighter gets him not quite face first in the asteroid, so he then barrel roll to get himself out, and he's really going to set up a very nice kill box here.
Yeah. See, the thing is, he barrel rolled with one of these TIE Fighters. I don't think that was the right course of action, due to the fact that if he's going to go too forward or even too bank, he would bump. And I can see why, well, I don't want to lose actions with one of my TIE Fighters, especially the one that is going to be bumping. But honestly, he could have done it in such a way that wasn't going to be as big of a problem. Look here. Soontir Fel is not losing his actions. If you want to kill Soontir Fel, you make him lose his actions.
Yeah, and so he is now double focused and evaded. And he's, well, staring straight at a TIE Fighter, so that's a little scary. I mean, yeah, it is a focused TIE Fighter, so that's nice. But that's still a lot of attacks that TIE is going to have to get through.
Yeah. I would have taken an unfocused TIE Fighter against an unfocused Soontir with maybe Vader bringing in the rear.
But one of Chris's Black Squadrons is in a very nice position to start coming around, just swing himself around and get behind Dave's Aces.
Yeah, and TIE Fighters are really good at dealing with their air superiority fighters, and they're really good at just being a nuisance, and that's what it's going to be for this Vader, I think.
Yeah, and it looks like Dave has picked Vader's target, and now let's see where Chris's ends up. And so he's he's turning in. Now, does he barrel roll to get himself really pointed at Dave Soontir? I don't think that's the right course, just because he'll be some really nasty positioning.
I think he's out of harm's way. Vader wants to stay that way. He wants to basically be opportunistic at this point, even though he doesn't have that EPT. And for the most part, just target lock, get that target lock on, use the advanced targeting computer, and then grab a focus for some dice modification.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about evades because he sees the board. That's the benefit of not having initiative, as mentioned earlier.
Yeah. And so it's really it's a choice here of who Vader target locks, because he does have fire arc to both. Now, if he goes for Dave's Vader, that is through an asteroid. But Dave's Vader also has potentially two other fighters that can shoot it.
Yeah, Soontir Fel, because of his positioning right now and because he's stressed, next turn he's actually not going to be in the fight at all. So, because he's probably going to have to do a 2 hard or 2 bank in order to even get turned around. Vader is in a good position to get out of that arc, and those TIE Fighters are going the opposite direction. So Vader is the logical choice to be able to deal with him. He doesn't have a lot of defensive actions. Chris obviously still has those 2 crack shots, which are going to be invaluable against these Aces.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they are the 2 fighters that are, well, in the danger zone right now.
Yes. And one of them doesn't have an action because he used it to barrel roll.
But he only took 1 damage from Vader, so that's not too bad.
Fortunately, that 1 damage is a crit, if I recall.
It looked like it. Looked like it may have just been a... Well, we resolve it, nothing happens.
Oh, okay. It could have been one of those discard your secondary weapon systems, as TIE Fighters have none, you don't care as much.
As Chris is also using the older damage deck.
And that's something I would suggest for any TIE Fighter player.
Yes. You don't want the major explosions from the new one.
No. You don't want your TIE Fighters to feel like TIE Fighters.
Yeah. Alright, so now this is Dave's Vader defending against Chris's Vader, so... Range 2 through an asteroid, unlikely to do a whole lot, and it, in fact, doesn't look like it did anything. But its shot's going out, and now Chris has to defend against the range 1 focused Soontir. But that's some blanks I see.
Yeah, that is not...
looks like he survived without taking any damage.
Yeah, I think Soontir Fel just whiffled out of that.
You know, I believe he did. I truly believe he did.
So here we have, trying to figure out exactly where this TIE fighter is. A little bit of bumping, it looks like.
Trying to get Vader back into those boater spots. So that looks
like it's out of range 1.
Not quite. But this is a crack-shotted fighter, so...
And we will never know.
The suspense. The suspense is killer. Well, that looks like there's one potential.
And it's so, not worth spending the crack shot.
No, so Vader evades it. Not bad.
He is an Vader.
And it looks like the other TIE fighter also did no damage to Vader, so not actually a rather uneventful turn given the positioning of the fighters. It's a little surprising.
Yeah, but that just means that the next couple of turns are going to be even more brutal, I think, because now we are getting into the mosh pit for all intents and purposes.
We really are. Yeah, I can see Chris's TIE fighter that is target locked. I could see that one K-turning now.
Yes.
The one that is directly facing an asteroid, hard to say. Possibly just trying to one turn around it to not run into it. But that looks like that would end up possibly bumping Soontir. Well, that one's a really interesting fighter.
It's very difficult because, I mean, with TIE fighters, you don't mind bumping as much.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to bump on your turn. You want to force your opponent to bump and be a blocker.
Indeed.
And it's tricky because of these parabolic asteroids are actually coming up quite a lot in this game due to how tight these enemy fighters, or fighters in general, are hugging them. So where these TIE fighters are going to be, I'm not really sure.
Well, I would guess for Chris's upper TIE, that's, I would say, even just potentially a 1 turn, maybe a 2 at the fastest.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 2 hard turn just because a 1 hard turn is going to make it difficult. He's probably going to have to use his barrel roll action, that kind of thing. A 2 hard turn is probably going to clear both of those asteroids. It might get him a little close to Vader, but it sets him up for a really nice turn next turn.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst.
I could definitely see, as we said, a K turn from the target locked TIE fighter. That would make the most sense to me.
Yeah, or just try to be difficult and lock Vader.
Just be annoying with it.
Yeah.
That's also quite fair. I'm really interested where Chris's Vader's going to end up because because of the nature of his pilot skill and not having initiative, so having last move, he's going to have a lot of board edge to end up. A lot of board to end up in, and it looks like Chris actually said, "To heck with it, I'm going to K-turn through that asteroid."
Yeah, well, if you're not going to get an action anyway, might as well go for it. Didn't look like... Did he take a damage?
It looked like he got away scot-free there. Which is impressive. And that... Very nice flying there.
So there was that 1 hard turn that you called. I didn't think he was going to be in a good spot for it. But he got in the perfect spot for it. I am very impressed with that 4K turn on the TIE fighter closest to Chris. Mm-hmm. It looked like he was going to hit an asteroid there. I might have been safer with it and did a 3K turn, also being a potential jerk and blocking, but that could have hit Vader as well. So very good eyeballing on that.
Yeah, that was nice. And Soontir, quite predictably going into the now open spot left by Chris's moving ties. He wants to get his stress out of the way.
Yeah, and the 2 hard turn, man, it really, it's good. It's one of those things, though, even the Interceptor has limited options when it's stressed every turn.
Yeah. It looks like he is in a rather nice position to boost forward. To bank forward, yep. And that's... might give him fire arc. Oh, that's going to be close.
It is going to be close. He'll probably barrel roll in order to seal the deal kind of thing. Just because Vader doesn't have a lot of maneuverability, but it doesn't look like he's going for that.
Just wants to survive a potential hiccup.
Yeah. He also, I don't think, wants to give up too many of his actions in case those TIE fighters can attack him.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want to lose that stealth device too soon, because as soon as he gets a hit in,
Oh, he's
that stealth device is gone.
Fel is definitely in fire arc of the asteroided TIE.
Yeah.
And Vader turns himself in. What action? Now the debate of what actions is he going to do?
I think he's probably going to boost here, just because, Vader isn't a wonderful fighter, but he doesn't have an amazing dial. He's very similar to that of an X-wing. You don't have those one hard turns that the TIEs are normally known for.
Mm-hmm.
You do only have a 4K. You got the nice 2 and 3 maneuvers, but when it comes to really tight maneuvers, you just don't have it.
Yeah, as you said, there's the boost, and it also gets at least some more distance, potentially getting an asteroid between himself and anyone who might be shooting at him.
Yeah. I would take the evade action right now. I seriously doubt he's going to get shots this turn, and if those TIEs decide to go after Vader, they can make short work of him.
It looks like he has taken focus instead.
Okay.
I guess trying to leverage the probability of focus against 4 to 5 defense dice.
Now, let's see where Chris's Vader is going to go. Looks like he's banking.
Very, very close.
Yeah, so if Dave had barrel rolled, he would have blocked him.
Mm-hmm. It's very close flying there.
Yeah, I foresee a boost.
Yeah. Just to get him bunny hop that asteroid.
Well, he's not taking any shots from Dave.
No, and this lets him get turned around a little bit. Chris really doesn't want to have his Vader out of the fight for too long, though.
No. But it's one of those things, as long as Vader is if it gets down to it, Vader is the last fighter Chris wants on his side. Yeah. He wants that for endgame support. Because Vader, at pilot skill 11, with boost and barrel roll, and the initiative to his advantage, he doesn't have the initiative, but it's to his advantage, it will make short work of pretty much anything short of other incredible aces.
Yeah. And so this is this barrel roll's interesting. This leads me to believe he's actually going to next turn, bring Vader into that open spot in the middle of the asteroids and use him to try to, head off Soontir.
Yeah.
Which, it would make sense. But it's still, we got a nice scrum going on. Got some line of sight checking here. Very interested to see if Soontir ended up with line of sight. Because we know Vader did. Either Vader didn't. And it, in fact, looks like Soontir did not have line of sight there.
Yeah, it was a hard check. I'm pretty impressed if he would have had line of sight. He would have had to do some fancy barrel roll actions in order to get that. Vader also, David's Vader anyway, will not have line of sight on anything, I don't think.
No, he's well out.
So this is some pure gravy train for Chris.
That was a long range skirmish shot into Vader. Just hoping to hope against hope that Chris rolls well and Dave does not.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Soontir Fel is one of the trickiest and slipperiest fighters to nail down, especially since he still has that stealth device. Mm-hmm. So I can definitely see that Soontir Fel will be actually the last fighter that Chris will go after, unless
he gets sneezed on.
Exactly, unless Dave misplays, bumps him, loses those actions, and then the blood is in the water. Those Black Squadron sharks are going to go chase him down and kill him.
Yeah. All right, so... the nice thing about that fellow that did K-turn through the asteroid, he's actually in a pretty reasonable spot to head Vader off. Or at least do a nice bank and set up a kill shot on him. We've got that beautiful, beautiful one turn from the TIE fighters. Unfortunately, it is not a green maneuver on a TIE fighter, unlike the TIE Inquisitor.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have the benefit of using the TIE Inquisitor yet. I'm pretty sure Dave would maybe switch even Vader out for the TIE Inquisitor, because they pretty much do the same role there.
That one green one turn is phenomenal and phenomenally annoying.
Well, look forward to seeing those Wave H squadrons very soon. I know Matt and I were able to get some games in on the little time that we had, and they're basically in the cutting room. So we're gonna be taking a break from the Gamezilla Store Championship and showing you guys what the Wave 8 squadrons can do.
So we've got some nice maneuvers here. It looks like Chris. It looks like Chris actually just voluntarily bumped his ships to just gum up Dave, and it actually looks like it worked for against Soontir. It looks like Soontir's bumped.
Yeah.
And Vader, there's no way he's clearing that boost.
No. And this is exactly what Chris wants. Chris wanted basically Dave to blink.
Yes.
And now Soontir is in a really rough spot. Not only is he a rough spot for this turn because he has no action, but he's in a rough spot for next turn. He has to disengage if he wants to get out of this scrum, because Chris can just keep Soontir there and plink him away.
Yeah. And now Soontir is being looked at by a TIE fighter. However, it is the one that has already taken a point of damage. So it's going to have two aces firing at it. Very likely going to end up being in the same position as Howlrunner. It's probably going to die.
Yeah.
But it might not. And with that barrel roll from Vader to get into range 1, that actually looks like this has put the closest to closest point is through an asteroid. So he's traded 1 attack dice for 1 defense dice. And that remains to be seen if that is in fact a good trade. Now Chris's Vader here. Okay, so the boost, this makes sense. Now he does not have Arc of Fire on anyone yet. However, it looks like were he to barrel roll, he would.
Yeah, he's going to definitely want to barrel roll and get in that firing arc of Soontir and just be a jerk. Like, deal with Soontir now and put on that pain, because, again, this is the opportunity that he wants. The gates are open.
He is firing through an asteroid. So this is 2, and this is not the target he has locked. So this is 2 versus 5 dice. And it's all right, but he's just making Soontir try to miss a shot or try to miss a defense. And the really, really nice thing about the TIE Advanced is it can actually slow play.
Yes, it definitely can.
The Interceptor can't at all.
The downsides that I was mentioning are not always downsides. When you have 2 banks, you can definitely play a lot slower than TIE fighters can. And TIE Interceptors, like you said, they want to go fast all the time. They only have those 1 sharp maneuvers, which are amazing, but limit you when you want to be a little slow.
Oh, and it's a direct hit. So that was a little surprising. Just Vader trying to punch through. So 4 attack... 3 plus 1 crit versus 4 defense dice.
And one of those ties are gone. So now...
Dies to direct hit. And that was the one that was looking at Soontir. So this does actually leave Soontir open to shoot into the Asteroid K-Turner. As well, we're going to call him.
Yeah. And that's the real thing is...
However, it looks like he... it looks like he didn't roll. Soontir did not roll terribly well. However, Chris did not get any results. And he does get a weapon malfunction, which is really not what you want to see on a TIE fighter.
No, you basically go to the pitifulness that is the Hawk when it comes to attack dice. You only have 2 of those little blasters on the front, and when one of them is scratched out, then
when one gets shot off, you're in trouble.
Yeah, might as well just fly back to base.
And it was not quite in range 1 of Vader there. So, and that was unfortunately one of the TIEs that did still have a crack shot left on it.
Yeah, and that's always unfortunate when you're playing through these events and you're like, I want to spend this crack shot that I've spent points on, and you get blown up. But it's not like he spent 8 points on munitions.
Yes, exactly. And here's a K turn. So this is, again, kind of preempting where Dave's aces are going to end up. Soontir is not stressed this turn, so he's not quite as predictable as you would otherwise expect. However, he also doesn't really want to go too terribly fast.
And this looks like an unfortunate move. It looks like he was trying to do a 2-bank and clear past Vader, but instead he just bumps into him, and that puts him on an Asteroid, I think.
That may clip the edge.
It's very close at this point. We're not going to know for certain until...
Yep.
Yeah, it's on an Asteroid.
However, that is a blank, so he is... Again, he's alright with that Asteroid.
Yeah, but it's... Chris has gone from being in a really good spot to being in a really tight spot, because now he only has 1 TIE fighter that can fire this turn, Vader, who has to pull a lot of weight against these 2 aces that have just been destroying Chris's squadron.
Yeah.
I mean, a TIE fighter isn't really a boast-worthy thing.
Oh, and that was Soontir flying through an asteroid, taking a direct hit.
That is not...
Oh.
That is not what Soontir wants to see.
Not at all. I did not realize that bump last turn had put him in that position to run over an asteroid. That is... Oof. That is very, very nice for Chris.
That is very unfortunate for Dave.
That is terribly unfortunate for Dave. That puts Soontir well into the range of, oh crap, somebody sneezed on me.
And I think one of those TIE fighters still has a crack shot, so if you get a lucky shot in and Dave doesn't roll very well...
One does still have a crack shot, but I think it's actually the one on the asteroid.
Okay, so that lone stressed out TIE fighter has to roll phenomenally well. Luckily...
Yes, it is the one on the asteroid, so because he's the one that took the crit.
Yeah, so... But you still have Darth Vader in the fray, and he does have the potential of dealing with these fighters.
And now this is actually very good. For Chris, that his Vader bumped here, because otherwise he would have ended up directly in front of both Soontir and Dave's Vader without really anywhere to maneuver to try to get away. So, yes, obviously he's not going to be shooting at Soontir this turn, and I don't believe he has Dave's Vader in his arc of fire.
No.
But he's also not getting shot at.
And this just makes it easier for that lone TIE fighter, should he survive.
He's at 3. He has no dice modification.
Yeah, and there's no...
But he is at 3. However...
Straight dice versus straight dice. Actually, I would put that in the TIE fighter's favor, because all that TIE fighter needs to do is live. And if he lives and he gets a couple of hits in...
And that... Well, he lived against them there. Looks like he's actually okay for both.
And that's 3 attack dice. Looks like 3 hits, some phenomenal rolling.
That's 3 into... Yeah. Oh, and that's...
That's into Soontir. Range 1. Soontir has to roll 3 defense dice on 4 dice. And the thing is, that's it. So we'll see. Did he get it?
He did not. That is Soontir dead. That asteroid killed him.
Yeah, that is a crushing turn of events.
Wow. Because he would... If he hadn't impacted the asteroid, he would have lost his stealth device anyway. But he lost his actions from impacting the asteroid.
Yeah.
So there's no modification at all there, and also no evade action. But yeah, it was the direct hit. He's gone.
Yeah. Maybe it was a little greedy of Dave to try to stay in the fray instead of disengaging with, let's say, a 5 forward.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's Vader. It's the Vader show.
It really is. And here's, Chris just taking. I'm gonna take my green. I don't care. I'm not gonna shoot with him anyway.
Yeah.
This other fighter, my guess says for his action, he tries to repair his crit.
Yeah, because he's a 1 attack dice fighter.
And it looks like he does manage to repair it, so we can flip that over. That fighter's now back to being
strength.
Operational.
Yeah. Not full strength, but yeah, going from 1 attack dice to 2 attack dice.
He has doubled his firepower.
He's not a hawk anymore.
No, and I'm actually really interested to see what Chris's Vader's gonna do here. Now he doesn't have that 4K, so he's not K turning. He can't. He'll hit an asteroid if he does. But really, I'm really not sure. Probably my guess is a bank of some kind.
Dave's in a really tight spot because again he only has Darth Vader left, and he doesn't have that initiative benefit. He has the initiative, again, as I mentioned before, has the initiative. That's not what he wants right now. He doesn't want the initiative.
No.
That other Vader is going to be in a really good spot in a couple of turns to be on Vader's butt, depending on how they play.
Vader v. Vader.
And these other 2 TIE fighters, they're just going to be annoying.
They're there to be blockers. They're there to be the cleanup crew, incidental damage, and just, forcing the laws of probability onto Dave.
Yeah.
And trying to make him fail a roll.
And the thing is, probability is not really on Dave's side as it is right now.
No. All right, and so the choice of actions here is very interesting. He can boost to get him, and it looks like he's very strongly considering it, to get himself into firing arc of the 2 damage or the 2 health TIE fighter to try to pick up some kills here, and potentially carry himself out of any kind of potential danger from Chris's Vader. He also doesn't have to worry about the 3 health TIE because he's pointed in completely the opposite direction.
Yeah, he can go and focus his 1 TIE fighter down, and this is the best thing that Dave can do right now. Is all right. I know that my Vader and his Vader are the same amount of points. If I kill these other 2 TIE fighters, I can go and tie this game.
Yes, exactly. And it also puts Dave's Vader into a position where he can slow play and end up behind that 2 health TIE fighter and just try to kill him. Because that TIE fighter, the only 1 maneuvers he has is a one turn.
Yeah. Which,
given the circumstance, might not be a bad choice. If he manages to survive this range 1 shot. But Dave's Vader is not target locked on him, so there is no advanced targeting computer. It's just
3
versus 3.
Yeah, 3 raw dice versus 3 raw dice.
Yeah.
And it looks like
that's 2 going through.
That's
1 is a crit that does not have. It's not a minor explosion, so it can't pull cards out.
And that is exactly what Dave wants. He has 1 more TIE fighter to go, and then he can potentially tie this game. And then if he can somehow kill the enemy Vader in time, then great, go for it. But I think right now the best thing that Dave can go for is to kill this TIE fighter and tie it. Tie the tie.
Oh, right now it's only a 15-point difference.
Yeah.
That is the margin of victory is 15 points right now.
I think it's, yeah. So
Unless they were playing at not 100.
Yeah.
In which case it will be a little different, but it's approximately 15 points.
Yeah, which is still would be a win for Chris at this point in time.
It is. But that's still a really, really close game.
Yeah.
And it's fair. It's not terribly surprising that, it's like, hey, what do I have the option of? I'm going to have Vader go and try to kill this goober. Yeah, let's do it.
Well, he's playing right into what I suggested, so...
So there's the boost. I would say target lock. This has got to be a target lock.
Yeah.
Get that targeting computer. So this is three attacks plus 1 crit.
That is brutal. That is something it doesn't look like he has any defensive tech.
He does have a focus, I believe.
Okay.
That tie is actioned. It's a little difficult to tell exactly what it is, but it is definitely defensively actioned.
You blink and you miss actions. Thanks for paying attention, Matt.
Oh, it's that token's a little hard to see, but so here is the boost from Chris's Vader. Now Chris's Vader is already target locked on him, so he does have the option to focus here. I almost would have thought a barrel roll just to ensure the range 2, but
I think he's going for the long game in the sense that he might lose this TIE fighter here, but he's in a really good spot to figure out exactly where Dave's going to go in future turns and adjust for that.
And he takes no damage.
So the luck that Dave had last turn and being able to just completely annihilate one of these TIE fighters didn't hold up into this turn, and now he has to deal with Vader firing back at him.
And there's the focus. So paid off. So 2 hits and a crit into Dave's Vader. So it is range 3. However, that is a point that's 2 points that got through. So one of those that got through, that was a crit.
And it's a weapons malfunction. Oh, the tables have turned when it comes to weapon malfunctions, and now Vader has gone down to 1 attack dice plus advanced targeting computer when he gets that proc.
That is that is less than ideal. I mean, Vader having 2 actions, he can action to attempt to repair this and still focus. But
you want to spend those actions for defensive tech, though, when it comes to having an enemy Vader on your tail.
Now this is nice. So he's very nice prediction by Dave here of, you know what? I think Chris might K-turn, so I'm going to do that myself.
Yeah.
And I assume he did, and just playing Chris's tie playing beautifully into Vader's kill zone here. Yeah, Vader has no actions, but he's still 2+1 attack dice. So, not the worst, but not full potential, but still pretty dangerous.
He's still relying on his defensive dice, his 3 defense dice, probably 3 defense dice, looking at the range for Vader, from Vader to Vader.
Oh, this is range 2. Yeah, this is a range 2 shot. So, this is going to be... and that TIE fighter is not dying this turn. That is 1 crit.
I'm curious why... because he has
the target lock on him.
Yeah.
So, but it actually goes through, and that's a blinded pilot. So interesting. That card is going to stay there for a couple turns
because it is the old damage deck, not the new one. Ooh, and it looks like that's game.
Oh,
Vader came in and mopped the floor. Yeah.
Well done.
Hey Matt, did you know that Atlantic Canada has a new gaming and tournament center in downtown Fredericton?
Yes, John, I did. Actually, tell you what, I'd do even better. Check out the website yet. You can go on there, order X-Wing stuff online, get it shipped to you anywhere in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. You've even got more locations to come soon. It's metagames.com. You should have a look.
So you're telling me that I can go online and order a bunch of T-70s for the integrated astromech, and it's going to get shipped right to my door?
Yep, and once you got them, come on down Monday night. It's our free play night. Come in, meet all sorts of interesting people, nice big open play space. It's a really relaxing time. You should check it out.
That sounds awesome. What's the website again?
It's metagames.com, so metagames with a Z on the end of it.
Long live metagames! That is very impressive. So losing those defensive actions meant that David's Vader bit the dust.
Still, I really like how he played towards the end there, going to force the tie, and just very nice anticipation of the K-turn from Chris's fighter there. That was two well played lists. I really enjoyed that.
Well, I've been ever since I saw Dave Turner's and Chris Gibson's lists. I liked them. You see somewhat similar lists on the net. You see the mini crack swarm. You see just full crack swarms. And then you also see Palp Aces. Now, these squadrons have changed a bit ever since Wave 8 has come out, but at the time I saw these two squadrons, they played out against each other in round 2, and I was just like, I need to get this on video. You're playing on the cameras, and it was a very intense game. I'm very happy to see how these two squadrons, both very nicely played, ended up fighting against each other, and the Vader crack swarm was victorious.
It was, and I really think that it came down to that early Palpatine kill.
Yeah, that for the Vader and mini crack swarm list, going against Palp Aces, killing Palpatine early on was the right choice, and it definitely secured him the victory here.
Well, guys, thanks for watching Wookiees on X-Wing. Be sure to like and subscribe. We've got Wookiees videos out every Wednesday.
We are part of the Northern Gaming Network. Be sure to check it out at northerngamingnetwork.com, where we have additional content for this game and others. Find us on Twitter at NorthGameNet, or like us on Facebook to keep up with our most recent news, including when we have technical difficulties.
Hopefully, it doesn't happen too often, so we'll have lots of stuff for you guys next week. Hope to see you then.